Welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Stores, and hanging out with me as always is
Rob Morphy.
Robert, thank you so much. And
Chris.
Welcome back, boys. Cryptonaut podcast. We're here. We're doing it. We are taking a delve. A delve.
Oh,
a delve. We're de-evolving.
Delve.
That's right on.
We're delving into the woods.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It works, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Perfect. We're going back into the woods.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
We're talking F the Woods Volume 3, Camping in Alien Hell.
In Alien Hell.
Which
It's my
is-
favorite place.
It's
Yeah.
kind of probably the best hell to be in, I guess, right? Like Alien Hell?
Well, you'd think. Let's reserve judgment
best
until after you
alien
hear
hell.
about this particular alien hell. I'm sure there's lots of them, like Chinese hells, as is referenced in Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
There are a lot of Chinese hells, Jack, and there are indeed
Yeah.
in mythology. So some are probably better than others. And generally speaking, alien hell sounds pretty fucking dope. But when I was trying to think of a proper name for this, I'm like, they're literally just camping in alien hell. It's just
A hell
not
of aliens.
good.
Okay.
Is it like
Yeah.
a vacation package you select?
I mean, if it was like one of those, like, what do they call them? Like when it's curated, like haunted house packages.
Okay, yeah,
where it's
totally.
designed for you, sort of like Total Recall.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You know, if we had lived in a virtual reality
Yeah,
world
you
where
pick
you
your
make that,
specifics.
and you wanted to have like a crazy adventure that was both terrifying and maybe somewhat exciting, with a loved one, because this involves a loved one.
Okay.
Then yeah, this might be one of the packages you would pick. I don't know why you would do that. I wouldn't, but
Well,
I'm not everybody.
I mean, let's save judgment. Let's go get to the tail, and then we'll see if people want to get this as their vacation package.
See, I would say no to the camping part right out the gate.
Yeah, no,
Like that would not be my dream package.
Alien
right there.
Hell, you never know, man.
But Alien Hell,
Might be some perks.
well, you'll see.
Is there
right.
ever?
Not a lot.
All right, well, let's, without further ado's, let's get started with, for those who love it, camping is supposed to be an escape from the drudgery of daily life. But for one Chilean couple, their long-anticipated excursion into the wild swiftly devolved into a night-long odyssey of psychedelic horror, one that, to their ever-accelerating dismay, seemed to be occurring against the hellish background of a full-scale, destroy-all-humans caliber alien invasion.
Yes, indeed.
So maybe I was wrong about the package.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize
were
there was
definitely
the
wrong.
destroy-all-humans caliber.
Yep.
thing
It's a
happening.
hellish backdrop of madness and aliens. I think aliens could be interdimensionals. Could be. Let's not rule out the Fae. There's a lot on the table.
Okay.
But it definitely involves some UFOs, and it definitely involves some batshit crazery, and it is classic Cryptonaut madness.
All right, man.
And so I'm
man.
very excited to get into this.
All right, well, let's do this.
Nestled among some of the highest peaks of the Andean mountain range, not far from the Argentinian border, the region known as Cajon del Maipo, pretty sure I said that as good as like a shitty middle-aged white mouth can say that. The best I could do.
If it's wrong, they will tell us.
Oh, surely.
They always do.
I mean, it's surely not right. It's surely not pronounced with the vim and vigor of a proper
The upstate New York accent.
Chilean, resident. But I'm doing
Canjo
the best
del
I can.
Maypop.
Yes,
There you
the
go.
Maypop.
There
Okay.
it is. Perfect.
Is a pristine canyon located less than 70 miles from Chile's bustling capital city of Santiago. A favorite spot for urbanites to steal away from the grind of city life in order to unwind and commune with nature. This narrow valley encompasses the upper Maipo River Basin, where an array of rambling rivers such as the El Volcan, the Yeso, and the Colorado merge to create an oasis of natural splendor perfect for a healthy and, for many, conveniently close dose of R&R. Conveniently close if you happen to live in Santiago and you need to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah.
That is. Maybe not for us. It's very inconvenient for us.
No, for us, it's a whole.
And most of the people. in
It
the
is
world.
inconveniently far.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a relative statement. Yes. Just had to clarify. As such, one would think that this stunning locale would be among the last places wherein a living nightmare of potentially planet-wrecking proportions might unfold. Yet, according to one formerly outdoor-loving young couple, the Cajon del Maipo was the site of one of the most terrifying close encounters of the third kind cases on the books. According to the September 7th, 2023 edition of Mr. Black's always informative Beyond Creepy YouTube channel, in an episode titled Besieged, One Couple's Creepy Camping Experience, on the morning of January 12th, 2019, the unidentified pair who were given the pseudonyms Maria and Diego Martinez were headed to the popular tourist site to set up camp, eagerly anticipating a long week of hiking among the area's glaciers and volcanic peaks. And where do you get that? That's a nice combo.
No, yeah.
And sleeping under the stars, all of which was building up to the big show, a total lunar eclipse scheduled to take place between the evening of Sunday, January 20th and the wee hours of Monday, January 21st, 2019. Making this celestial display all the more significant were the facts that this was the first full moon of the calendar year and that the moon was near its perigee, making it a combination of a supermoon and a wolf moon, resulting in what was referred to as the super blood wolf moon, due to the reddish hue that would cover the satellite's surface during the total lunar eclipse. So it's already got the blood stain. So it's the super blood wolf moon.
Yep. It's got all of it.
I don't know if that has anything to do with what's going to go down. You would think if it was werewolf or dogman oriented, it is not.
No, right.
It is just another background element that is going on during this week of weird.
Super blood wolf moon is the way to bring it in.
Mm-hmm.
That is the way you do it.
But as impressive as that event was destined to be, it would pale before the nocturnal exhibit that would greet the duo on their first night in the valley. But before we get to that, let's set the scene. In the southern hemisphere, January is a peak summer month, boasting minimal rainfall and temperatures that rarely dip below 80 degrees Fahrenheit and often soar into the low 100s. In his intro, Mr. Black wrote, quote, "A couple, Maria and Diego Martinez, decided to take advantage of the warmer weather and do some camping in the woods just outside Cajon del Maipo. They arrived in the morning and immediately got to work setting up what would become their campsite. It was perfect, situated right on the bank of the river. As the day turned into evening, they discovered that they were completely alone as the other families camping nearby had left. The nearest camper, they determined, was nearly a mile away." End quote. This no doubt delighted the duet, as the whole point of a camping trip is to, quote unquote, get away from it all, and that almost certainly included other people's kids. So that part I could identify with. Yep, just get the fuck out. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Maria slipped on a helmet equipped with a miner's light, and she and Diego huddled together next to the warmth of their roaring campfire, chatting and savoring the solitude and the fresh country air. As the hours slipped by, the twosome suddenly realized that they'd forgotten to eat dinner. As it was nearing midnight, they decided to forgo any culinary prep work and just split a can of soup, presumably heating it over the now smoldering embers of their fire.
Soup is not a meal.
Oh,
Depends on the soup.
Yeah, first off, I'm going to agree with Chris. If you ever had like a big bowl of mulligatawny or any number of like hearty soups, that's great. Secondly, you have a real weird hang up on what a meal is and what it isn't.
It's not soup.
Have you ever had a soup meal?
No.
Oh, you have an old school idea of what a meal ought to be.
No.
That is almost like glaringly.
If I went to dinner and someone was like, "Here's soup," and it was just like, it wasn't like that wasn't the entire meal. I'd be, this is fucking
Well, it was like a
bullshit.
super creamy soup with like a side of like delicious crusty breads to dip.
Is that a meal?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
You know, it's just not. It's
Like,
not the
I know
time or
it-
place.
Plateaus.
It's easy to argue if it's just a bowl of liquid in bread.
I agree. If it's just like a thin,
But most soups have things in there.
Yeah.
Pastas, meats.
Yeah.
You don't consider that a meal? Chunky?
No, not really.
I'm not saying I'd always want it for a meal either.
Well, you know what though?
Come on now.
I
Italian
would-
wedding soup?
I would make
Yeah.
that.
I guess I would make an exception for like a hot pot, but that's like chock full of shit. That's like a whole experience, you know. Even like ramen, like.
So what, you need pageantry
Yeah.
to have a fucking meal?
I need. You're correct. I need pageantry.
Jesus
I mean, Italian
Christ.
wedding soup is kind of a pageantry.
What is?
Oh, there's a lot
The
going
Italian
on.
wedding soup.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is not the Great Soup Pod.
Charlie Brown.
So apparently they were having an unacceptable meal, but they were making do.
That's right.
Depends on the soup.
Nope.
Depends on the fucking soup, which we don't know, and we'll never know.
Right.
We'll never know.
Could have been a meal,
ate.
maybe not.
Could have been a hearty fucking meal.
under the alleged moon? Sure.
Fuck
Two
you.
things I don't like, soup and the moon.
Oh my
Go
God.
fuck yourself.
I can't right now. I just cannot. All right. The couple stared up at the stars as they ate, almost certainly appreciating, boy, I slurred on that a little bit, how much more beautiful they looked without Santiago's formidable light and air pollution obscuring the heavenly bodies. It was then that Maria noticed a brilliant star, much brighter than the rest, twinkling in the sky above. Just as she'd pointed it out to Diego, the strange star suddenly plummeted downward, coming to an abrupt halt on the opposite side of the river, hovering just above the bank. No more than 65 to 80 feet away from them. That's me transferring meters. It sounds a lot more eloquent in meters, but that's what we're living with.
No, I get it. It's a decent, decent clip.
Decent clip, but it's pretty fucking close for a star. Like, stars don't plummet out of the sky and then land at the bank at the other side of the river 85 feet away or whatever.
It's like some Starman shit, dude.
Absolutely.
Yep, not good.
Okay. The stunned couple stared in wide-eyed wonder at the odd object, which, now illuminated in the beam of Maria's headlamp, was revealed to be a translucent, discoidal craft roughly 50 feet in diameter with what seemed to be a hazy outline, almost as if it was phasing into and out of our reality. Then, without warning, a series of iridescent green lights began flashing along the perimeter of the object in sequence. So some Close Encounters of the Third Kind shits there without the sound effects.
Yeah, it's weird.
Too stunned to blink, much less move, after nearly 30 seconds, it suddenly occurred to Maria that she might be unintentionally drawing the attention of the object's potentially dangerous occupants to the location of her and her husband by having inadvertently flashed the vessel with her headlamp. She quickly clicked the light off, but it was already too late. The disc was slowly closing in on their position. At first, it seemed to be following the contours of the river. Then it briefly retreated before pushing forward. Little shy little craft.
Okay.
Comes back, and then it's like...
Maybe it's not used to going that close to water. Doesn't know it's a transmedium craft. Maybe it's not, for all we know.
It's true. Very
Who
true.
knows? But it's getting a little shy, little ballsy again.
I like it.
It was then that they noticed another nearly identical object scaling a nearby mountain. Then, to their left, from another mountain approximately 3 miles distant, came 3 more saucers flying in a circular pattern. The tension in the air was palpable, but instead of soaring closer or worse yet coming to a stop above them, the UFOs seemed to quickly lose interest in the human voyeurs and simply drifted off in different directions. Within seconds, the skies were now once again saucer-free.
Back to the soup.
Back to the soup. Just back to the soup now. Soup and stars.
Maybe.
A meal and a sight. A planetarium and a bowl. That's all I need. That's all I need. That's all I ever
That's
needed.
true.
It's a half a can of Chunky.
Sure.
And some aliens.
Why not?
Sweet.
Having had quite enough excitement for one night, the Martinezes breathed a heavy sigh of relief. In the absence of the UAPs, their courage began to seep back into their bones, and they scanned the skies, hoping to find a trace of the eccentric interlopers. But the show was evidently over, and after a little bit, Maria and Diego decided to call it a night and retreated into their tent. Once inside, they began to breathe even easier and decided to play a game of cards in the lamplight before turning in. They've got this camping thing on lockdown.
That's right.
They brought the deck. They know what they're doing.
Our card's a game, Mark.
Is that a game?
I didn't
Can
wanna-
you play it?
A super meal, our card's a game, is a tent shelter.
I didn't want to bring this up, but you know what? I absolutely refuse to play cards.
For real.
Because
100%.
you don't think it's a game.
No, I just hate it. I hate playing cards.
Every game. Every card game you've ever tried to play,
Yeah.
you hate.
Hate it.
Really?
You know what's a card shark? You wouldn't even think about it. You wouldn't even imagine it. A card shark in my life. Nicole.
Nick. Yeah. Oh, no, I know
she's
that.
a fucking crazy card shark.
Sure. I played plenty of card games with
Yeah,
Nick.
like she's
Mostly drinking games in our
Yeah.
misspent youth.
Well,
But
she's
yeah,
fucking big into cards. I had no clue.
she's like shuffling like a fucking,
Dude, she
like a Las Vegas ringer.
Poker tournaments or not poker, pitch tournaments with her dad and shit like that. I was like, damn, look at you card shark. She's like, you play? I'm like, fuck no, I don't play. Don't you ever dare serve me soup.
Wow.
Yeah. Although I did just have a soup party and my sister-in-law's.
You
There's
did.
a lot of soups.
Were you enraged?
I had 3 sandwiches, so it worked out.
Was it soup and sandwiches?
The sandwiches were like ancillary. The soup was the main. My sister made actually a really good like Moroccan chicken soup, but then I had like 3 ham sandwiches. So,
Okay.
it wasn't.
So the rest of your family didn't even have confidence in soup. It's a soup fucking party full of sandwiches.
They all had confidence. They had confidence in the soup, but I was just like, I need more than just soup, dog. I need a sandwich.
Oh, so they weren't serving sandwiches. You just went to the fridge and made your own.
They had stuff for sandwiches, but I think I'm like me and one of the personally people that like partook.
They didn't have faith in the soup. You don't have sandwich fixins at a soup party. Fuck no.
Oh, you're saying
No faith
you're
in the
saying
soup.
all or nothing.
All or nothing.
Okay, all right.
You don't go to a fondue party and then bring a sheet pizza. It's fucking stupid.
I mean,
Dumb.
put the pizza
Unless
in
you
the
want to
fondue,
dip.
though.
I would
That's what's-
definitely
I mean,
dip
that's
pizza
why
in fondue.
sandwiches
That
go with
is the
soup.
smartest thing I've heard in probably the last week and a half.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what I'm here
Bring
for.
Sheet pizza
I mean,
to a fondue party.
I don't know.
You're a bad guest.
Depends on the fondue, I guess.
I mean,
I would still do it.
I mean, Chris has got me. If you chop it
I
up into
mean-
chunks for dipping, maybe.
yes.
all right.
Meat and cheese. It's already there. All right. So,
Cards aside.
fuck, they're playing cards.
All right, playing cards.
And
I don't play
gotta find my
cards.
spot there.
I
Yeah,
don't.
I know. Not doing anything. All right.
Nothing.
Oh. As they played, the couple excitedly talked about their incredible experience and how they couldn't wait to share it with their friends. As the thrill of the seemingly once-in-a-lifetime sighting replaced the anxiety that had so recently threatened to consume them, they began to wish that they could see these unusual visitors just one more time. It would be a longing that they would, within moments, come to regret.
And that's the way
Needless to say.
that's how it works, man.
Yeah, I mean, if all they did was see some UFOs and played fucking cards by lamplight, that would not have made the pod.
Don't forget the soup.
I'll never forget it now. That's what this fucking pod's all about.
That's right.
After making themselves comfortable in the tent and dealing out a new hand, the happy couple's air of contentment was shattered by something slamming into the wall of their shelter. Startled by the unexpected impact, they unzipped the flap and looked outside, but there was no one in sight. Laying on the ground was a plastic water bottle that had been hurled at them. But again, there was no sign of the chuck-happy prankster who'd thrown it. It would be at that precise moment when life as they'd always known it would forever change. Mr. Black set the scene, quote, "They both peered out of the tent and saw nobody around. Even stranger, they had not seen another camper in hours, and they would have most likely heard somebody approaching their campsite. As the couple sat half out of their tent, peering into the darkness, Maria flipped on the headlamp, and that is when they saw them. Hovering directly over their tent were 4 objects. It was an ominous sight. One was the same as the one they had seen earlier, while the others were smaller, about 4.5 feet long. So it's a saucer party, everybody.
Yeah.
Maria and Diego could not believe what they were seeing. As the couple watched, one of the smaller ships slowly floated, to the left side of their tent, only about 1 meter away, and began shining a brilliant white light directly at them. The light remained still, illuminating the side of the tent. Just then, the couple could hear a loud, vibrating sound, end quote. The vibrating hum increased in pressure until it suddenly stopped, and along with it, all of the other sounds of the forest around them. It was as if their ears had popped, leaving them both in a suffocating vacuum of silence. At the same time, the smaller UFOs grabbed their attention as they zigzagged back and forth. Maria tried to follow their movements, and that's when the beam of her headlamp caught something that neither of them would ever forget. Standing just off to the side of their tent was a quintet of unnaturally thin humanoids who stood no more than 4 feet tall. Their slender arms hung down at their sides and seemed far too long to belong to a human. So far, this depiction is not far off that of a gray alien. But here's where the description veers away from the typical gray. Maria and Diego claimed that the skin tone of these decidedly enigmatic entities was dark, though in the poor lighting they were unable to discern a specific pigment. To add to that, these beings were also not described as having A, particularly large heads, or B, almond-shaped eyes. So normal heads, I don't know what their fucking eyes look like, dangle arms, dark skin.
Okay.
Suddenly, the seemingly inert beings leapt into motion. Some began tearing at the tent while others began gouging their fingers into the dirt, inexplicably digging small holes around the couple's polyester and nylon sanctuary. Maria and Diego were terrified, and even though they didn't physically attack the couple or even tear down their tent, the behavior of these bizarre beings was unmistakably aggressive. Stranger still, as these things moved around their campsite, the duo realized that they never touched the ground, and even more disturbingly, that their levitation, whether it was of supernatural or technological origin, was creating a palpable vibration in the air that gave the witnesses the impression that these things were, quote, moving on a different level of space and time, which means Mark was one of the people in that tent.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't know how that happened, but that's the assessment they came to.
It's a weird, like, you know, dig hole, dig hole, dig hole.
Well,
dig
maybe
hole.
So they're float digging?
Well, they're floating.
Yeah, and then there's
They're
bend
not
over
touching
and
the
start
ground. They're bending
digging.
over and digging,
Right. Okay.
and they're like
float digging.
pulling at the tent and fucking around.
Yeah, perfect for a kicking.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, it reminds me of the ghostly scarecrow of Chiang Rai.
Oh,
Remember that
yeah,
orange
yeah,
bugger?
Yeah.
That was probably a balloon, as these things so often are, but maybe not.
Listen.
Could have been a life form, an alternate dimensional life form with a very low density, also primed for a kicking. If you want to be that kind of a dick. I don't like to kick things that are alive. I love to kick things,
Me too.
but not things that are alive.
Not the living.
No, I don't kick the living. I mean, unless they deserve a fucking serious kick.
Unless they're the living dead.
Oh, yeah.
And these things are aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
They are aggressive
So far.
Ish.
Mm-hmm. The terrified twosome swiftly sealed themselves back into the tent, holding on to one another for dear life. But this only seemed to aggravate their inhuman assailants as the entities began throwing themselves into the side of the shelter. Though they evidently were so insubstantial that this did very little damage, except to the human pair's already frayed nerves.
It's a hell of a tent to be able to withstand this. Like,
Well, or these things are like literally wafer thin.
yeah, and they just
balloon
have
folk
like zero
that are just
like, they've got like zero mass to them. Like,
it's hard, or they don't want to tear it down and they're not
Right.
like going full bore.
But why mosh against the tent?
Why mosh against the tent?
If you're,
Yeah, but-
if you're not intending to...
maybe their
You know what I mean?
in
They're
their
not-
culture,
You're absolutely right.
in their culture, tents are obscene.
Oh, there.
Yeah, it's an
That makes sense.
obscene structure.
It's an affront
yeah,
to whatever.
exactly.
Their culture.
It
Okay, but you
offends
should know
them.
this. If you're going to a visited place, you should know the place you're going to and know that.
Signs taught
Right,
us.
like-
they
Well, they
water
could have been
kills us.
prepared.
Turns out it's that the aliens don't do the research.
Yes, that's all.
I mean,
a lot of
like 100%.
War of the Worlds.
As much as I enjoy that movie, yeah, and War of the Worlds for that matter,
Yep.
both of those invasions were very
Yeah.
ill prepared.
Yep. This could be one of them. They're like, oh no, it's a world of tents. Fuck.
How can we break through? These barriers are insurmountable.
All you need is one fucking Bass Pro, dude, and just get all those tents up, and there you go.
What if they came across particle board? They'd shit their pants.
Yeah,
That would be like titanium to them.
or they would worship it as a god.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Who wouldn't?
new god,
That's what I do. Okay.
New God.
new god,
Fucking new God.
my
What
brand
about
new
the dirt,
god.
though?
Oh, my God.
Again, rocks, dirt.
Mhm.
It's weird.
Yeah, why dig the holes? And why is that intimidating? I mean, anything these things do is going to be intimidating because you're going to be freaking out. Like, who the fuck are they? What is going on?
Yeah.
You already had the weird UFO thing.
Well, I mean, if they're just kind of milling about, that's not bad. But they're doing weird things.
yeah.
And that makes it
they're
way
like
weirder. 'cause
Coming
they're
at,
doing
they're
weird
coming
things.
at your only, home, your only safe spot,
And they're being aggressive.
and they're digging the fuck out of your ground, which
Yeah,
means
man.
you could roll an ankle when you go to pee later.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I'm more concerned about them throwing themselves against the tent.
Sure.
Like, what are you doing? Yeah.
Maybe it's their way of saying hi,
Could be.
inviting
yeah.
them to the orgy.
Yeah.
It's just, it's their version of an Evite,
Weird.
a swingers Evite.
Weird.
All right, we don't
All right,
know.
maybe that's
it's
how
the,
they
it's
do.
the answer.
Yeah. Okay, cool. They're here to fuck. Awesome. Sweet.
It was then that the situation took an even weirder turn as, quote, the couple suddenly had the impression that they themselves were floating inside the tent.
Oh,
Man, this is...
man.
Oh, boy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 The impression.
The impression. or we're actually floating.
Anti-gravity. All right, man. Weird.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Somehow, this is me talking, they later agreed this quote-unquote floating sensation made them feel as if they were moving through space-time, and that if they had decided to exit the portable shelter, they would, quote, appear in a completely different location, end quote. So, again, with the impressions, which might have been, and at some point we're going to get, this is just foreshadowing a little bit, a hint of like, not what am I saying? I'm trying to like telekinesis, but where you think the mind talk. Why am I losing the word?
The mind talk.
The mind talk.
Like a
telekinesis.
Telepathy.
Telepathy. Gee, I knew it was a tell something.
Yeah.
I was so caught on telekinesis I couldn't let it go.
I know.
Yeah.
I was just holding on for dear life, and I'm like, how did I forget the word telepathy?
Right.
So there is a hint at telepathy coming up, and in that circumstance, they might have been feeding these thoughts like, don't jump out of the tent. You're going to end up on fucking, the ass end of Pluto, and you're not going to be able to breathe, and you're going to instantly freeze, and it's going to suck.
So they had their tent turned into like a TARDIS?
No, it didn't get bigger on the inside, but more like an Apollo shuttle that is in space.
All right, fair.
Yeah.
I was just thinking the TARDIS travels in space and time.
Yes, but there's always gravity in the TARDIS.
It's true, there is.
Yeah. But you're right.
Yeah.
It does travel. So it is TARDIS-esque.
Cool.
So you're right.
All right.
There it is. So that's where they're at. Needless to say, it was a long night.
Yeah. It's going to be a fucking long, weird night, man.
As to why they had those specific impressions were not evidently recorded, but apparently the sense of disorientation was brought on by the apparent lack of gravity and made them feel like they were actually traveling, and or, as I already mentioned, their telepathy, a word I totally know and can use, was trying to convey that somehow, maybe for their own safety. Like, don't unzip the flap. You could be fucked into like the barren, radiation-filled coldness of space.
Okay.
So stay in the tent right
All right,
now.
just hang out in the tent and just wait for the attack to stop.
Just not sure it's a bad thing, but it probably is a bad thing. We
Yep.
don't know. Okay. All right. It's not known exactly how long these feelings of floating and the simultaneous sense of disorientation lasted. Perhaps it was a while, or maybe this is just another in a long lineage of cases involving aliens and missing time, or maybe the horrified campers actually slipped through a time portal. But whatever the circumstances might have been, and despite the fact that they entered the tent just before midnight and had only been in there playing cards for a short while before the water bottle struck the outside of the structure, it was then that Diego noticed that, against all logic, it was now 3 a.m.
Oh, some time corruption.
So they're in there, floating around,
Potentially.
feeling like they could fucking fall off the face of or end up in another world or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, 3 hours, whipsy nipsy, gone by.
Timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey.
There you go. Whipsy nipsy, timey-wimey.
There it is. Nipsey Russell, peanut brittle.
There you
That's
go.
Oh, yeah. Nipsey
Sport of
Russell.
Kings reference. Better than Diamond Rings.
Yeah, that's like the second one in a
Football.
couple months.
Yeah,
I do.
Of
the
that.
same one.
Yep.
Yeah, you did it on a
Russell.
video
I do,
at one point.
Well, peanut brittle.
Yeah.
And Nipsey Russell was a great actor.
Sometimes I like peanut brittle, sometimes I don't, though.
Yeah, it's an iffy thing for me too.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
never know until it's in my mouth if it's one of those times
Yeah.
I'm enjoying
I
it or
Yeah.
not.
can't,
Me
like,
too.
I can't
It's
afford
weird.
to lose any more teeth, so I don't.
Yeah, that's
I
true
just
too.
can't. I just don't
Yeah,
do it.
Yeah,
because
no,
it
I
is
do-
literally brittle.
Yeah.
And it's not talking about the candy. It's talking about what it does to your fucking mouth
Exactly.
and everything in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to conserve on my insurance.
This sudden jump in time was almost certainly distressing, but before the partners had a chance to dwell on it, the interior of the tent began to fill with a putrid, sulfurous scent akin to rotten eggs, only, hard as it is to believe, even more pungent. The super sulfur.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is the sure sign of the demon, or farts. Egg salad farts.
An intergalactic,
specifically.
an intergalactic Dutch oven.
Mattoon mad gasser of.
Ooh, that's right. We never did that, did we?
No, but we did the alternate mad gassers of
We did, that's
America.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we like to do the alternate ones.
Yeah.
I mean, we did Spring Hill Jack, but there's no alternate Spring Hill Jack, so we didn't have a choice.
No, we didn't.
I would like to
Yeah.
do it, but I feel like that would be kind of like the same thing, like a lot of addresses, a lot of description of illnesses,
Yeah.
and no real solution. I'll leave that to the others.
Yeah.
I think every time I think about it, I'm like, I don't know if I want. It seems like a lot of leg work for not a lot of payoff.
True.
It's a mad gasser.
There you go.
Mattoon
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So Maria and Diego quickly pulled their hoodies over their noses in an effort to block the offending odor. Despite the surreal assault that was still taking place, the beleaguered couple quickly unzipped the flap in a desperate effort to breathe uncorrupted oxygen. Though it was not mentioned in their account, one can't help but to wonder whether or not they believed that these insidious imps were responsible for the smell. Perhaps it was their way of flushing their human prey out of the near impenetrable nylon shell that was encasing them, or maybe, like vampires, they were unable to enter without invitation and were trying to lure them out into the open.
I mean, unless they're like near some weird volcanic vent or something that's just venting out.
Well, they are by volcano.
They are by volcano.
Look, that's what I was immediately thinking.
That could be it, but I mean, it just seems kind of coincidental.
It
like,
is
oh God,
interesting.
volcano farts while we're getting attacked by the aliens.
It would be inconvenient, or maybe very convenient, because once they go outside, these things aren't there. So maybe the scent scared everything away.
Yeah, or the aliens are like, oh God, the dirt farted. We got to go.
The dirt farted.
The dirt farted.
Right.
Shit.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, it could happen.
Yeah. Whatever the case may be, as soon as they were outside, they could no longer see the terrifying trespassers. But their relief was short-lived, as a second later, the small saucers started coming down on them at speed.
Son of a bitch.
The dazed eyewitnesses couldn't tell how many there were at this point, only that there was a lot more than the original 4. Mr. Black wrote, quote, they were coming in fast, one after another, from the direction of the river, end quote.
And now, a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Dear listeners, I would like to take a moment to thank my co-hosts Robert and Christopher for their continued support throughout the years as two of my best friends and business partners. Now, I can be difficult to deal with, and I understand that they might not get where I'm coming from when it comes to my ideas and beliefs regarding the alleged moon, my choice of comfortable footwear, or my wholesale rejection of soup as a meal. Now, we can and will overcome these bumps in the road and agree that one day they will see the truth, but sadly it will be too late, and they will be forced to pay the ultimate price. And what is that ultimate price, you may be asking? We'll have to wait and see, as the time has not yet come. Now, this month is all about gratitude, and there's another person we don't get to thank enough, and that's ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying the very best to make sense of everything, and in this crazy world, that ain't easy. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/HellerSpace today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/HellerSpace. And now, back to the show.
This night, which was supposed to represent a temporary respite from their workaday world, had already been nearly too much to take. But it was about to get much, much worse. At first, the couple heard what sounded like a muffled cry in the distance. Then another, then what was distinctly a scream of terror, even closer. Then it came, a cacophony of human suffering, men, women, and children. So many children, shrieking not just in fear, but genuine agony. Suddenly, Maria understood that it wasn't just she and her husband being toyed with by these unthinkable fiends, but other campers were also being targeted, maybe even those who lived nearby. Whole families tormented, or, by the sounds of it, literally, Jesus Christ, being torn apart.
Jesus, the kids screaming in the background?
Like bad, hurt.
The hell?
Like, and we've all heard, like, kids scream, like, someone falls off a bike, dig, like that genuine, unmitigated pain, and not concerned with, like, looking tough like a lot of guys when they get older start doing. That's a terrifying, horrible sound that none of us like to hear. Whether you're a parent or not, just an uncle or whatever, it's just like a nightmare. So hearing like a fucking a symphony of screams. It's a bad scene.
Yeah, fuck.
Absolutely. Maria wondered, were people dying? Could this be an actual alien invasion? From what she'd seen and heard, Maria knew that we wouldn't stand a chance if that was what was actually happening. Mr. Black continued in his report, quote, Diego suddenly realized that they were in great danger, that whatever was happening to the campers down the river was most likely going to happen to them too. He sensed that he and Maria were probably not going to live to see another day. And he began to pray, hoping that it would give them the strength to confront whatever was going to happen next. Maria was crying. They attempted to console each other while they listened to the cries for help.
This is like a horror movie.
End
Holy
quote.
shit.
Yeah, alien hell. It's not necessarily the picnic we were all hoping for. The pair crawled back into their tent, embracing one another. The desperate, fearful vocalizations emanating from the darkness went on before finally ebbing. Then, just outside the fabric, Diego and Maria heard the sounds of someone running up behind their tent. The panting and crunch of the undergrowth told them that this was not one of those terrible floating fiends, but a fellow human being. Before they could get out to see who it was, or maybe even welcome them in for one last moment of human comfort, Maria and Diego heard an unmistakable scream of sheer, unremitting horror, followed by silence, a silence that was somehow even worse. It was the last scream they heard that night. So someone's getting close. They're going to go check. Done. And now they're alone.
And you're in the worst spot. You're in a fucking...
You're in a tent.
You're in a tent.
Granted, the Great Wall of China tents.
Apparently.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Or because these things can't break through.
The unbreakable
don't want to.
barrier.
It is crazy.
Jesus Christ.
Mr. Black continued. They were an emotional wreck at this point. Speaking to an investigator at OVNI, Chile, that's OVNI, like UFO,
Mm-hmm.
they noted that the agonized screams of the campers downriver lasted almost 2 hours. It's a long fucking time, end quote. Still, their living nightmare was not yet at an end. Quote, afterwards, the object returned to Maria and Diego's campsite, hovering directly over the tent. Both thought this meant that they were next. Now it was their turn, end quote. And by the object, they mean the UFO.
Yeah.
I don't think they mean the 50-foot one or one of the 4-foot
baby ones or whatever.
We don't
Yeah.
know.
Right.
As if on cue, the diabolical demons renewed their harassment, yanking on the tarp and colliding with the tent. Suddenly, the pair were inundated by the sickly sweet odors of blooming flowers. The couple did their best to ignore the aliens' continued attack, likely both praying that these vile beings would finally end their suffering in the same way as they had evidently ended those who they had heard utter their last in the darkness beyond the dying embers of their fire. But as tragic as that ending might be, these things would offer no such dubious consolation to the physically and emotionally exhausted couple. So I'm assuming they're praying for death at this point. They probably aren't, but at some point, when the assault just won't stop and the fear gets just terminally exhausting, you got to think yourself, just do it if you're going to do it.
Sure.
That's me putting myself in their shoes and just wondering like what it must be like.
And they're not taking,
and you assume everyone around you is dead.
Right, but they're not taking any steps to like get out of the tent and see what exactly is going on or what the hell they're doing.
Still scared, I guess.
Yeah, I get it. You're safe in there.
Yeah.
So far.
It's true.
I mean, the impenetrable tent, apparently.
Yeah, minus the weird flower, the
Except you might start floating again for no reason,
like
I
the
guess.
weird,
weird sense. Like
the feeling like you're floating.
Like the smell attack.
That is also weird. You're really not safe in the tent. You're safe from, I guess, physical attack by these things. Assuming that they're really doing their best to get in and just can't. They might just be fucking with you. It might just be part of their psychological assault.
True.
Which would make a lot of sense if they're just playing hell with you. And we're going to get to that in a second here. But also, like say, you're not really safe from, I don't know, a time and space vortex. You're not safe from the absence of gravity.
Right.
Even though that seems like it would be fun under other circumstances.
Right.
Yeah, true.
But not
sulfur.
Then, yeah. And then you get the stink of the rancid sulfur and then the sickly sweet odor of flower petals. It's odd. Is it being wrought by the aliens? Is something else going on?
Fucking don't know.
Is it other things? Is it like the Fae trying to fight off the aliens, protecting the forest of their home just as surely, just the way like Godzilla and his ilk fight to protect the earth that is their home from King Ghidorah, not really giving a fuck that people live here too because they think we're dicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's your house too. So
They're rarely
I
seen.
mean, I'm way going on a limb saying fairies are fighting aliens at this point because I smell flowers and shit eggs, but who knows?
the rarely seen odor attack,
Yeah, I mean, you can stink them away.
Smoke them out of their holes.
Ooh.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So we're going on a lot of limbs here, but Mr. Black continued, quote, soon after, both experienced a sensation of drowsiness and their bodies started getting heavy. I guess that's another level of the assault. Both struggled not to fall asleep, which definitely for me invokes thoughts of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where if you fall asleep, you lose yourself and you're fucked. But found it all but irresistible. Then, the quote continues, they began to see green laser points of light inside the tent. So I don't know, coming from outside and you just see it through the fabric, which makes more sense than
That's what
an invisible source inside.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing. There were many of these green points, which the couples compared to eyes spying on them. Another one of their intuitions that doesn't necessarily make logical sense to us after the fact, like why you'd be in a teleporting tent. Why you'd assume that because you felt the vibration that these things were working from a different time and dimensional framework.
Right. You're just kind of...
And why these look like... I mean, I suppose you'd feel violated, so who knows? But whatever. They felt as if these eyes were hypnotizing them, luring them outside the tent. At times, both attempted to go outside, but they stopped each other from doing so. So thank God one can break the spell when the other one can't. At other times, they covered their eyes and attempted to remain calm. They noticed that the more calm they were, the less these beings attempted to harass them. Maria and Diego both got the feeling that these entities were feeding off their fear and emotions. And where have we heard that for?
Where haven't we?
Ultra-terrestrials, dude.
All the day. All the live long day with those fuckers.
Just a buffet of fear.
And it seems like other paranormal things.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, demons, all kinds of shit.
Reptoids.
Yeah, fuck.
Except they like the chemical that's, I guess, secreted by fear, if you're going to believe certain aspects of the shittiest mythology ever.
Yeah, it goes into Q. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's adrenochrome. It's who knows, man.
Right. There it is. Yeah. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, that's there. That's part of this now.
All right, cool.
It was driving everything they did. According to Maria and Diego, it was all very difficult to explain at times. It was all very difficult to explain, period. At times, the entities would communicate holy fuck, I guess that I've lost that word. I've got the yips with telepathy.
Yeah.
Telepathy.
Yep.
Jeez Louise.
You got it.
I got it here.
You're good.
The entities would communicate telepathically with them, or at least they could hear something foreign inside their mind speaking, which is weird.
Yeah.
It gets weirder, though they could not understand the language, which they described as complex. It sounded just like noises and hisses to them. There was nothing they could compare it to. So, first off, I guess noises, that's ephemeral. So if you are being spoken to telepathically, and it is a different language, and they aren't bothering to translate, because usually it seems like it's a gimme, but you probably have to figure out a universal way.
If you got the power to speak to me like telepathically, at least have the decency to translate it.
If you have that ability.
I mean, I would think you'd be able to.
I mean, why though?
If you can use telepathy, you wouldn't be able to translate what you're saying so that we can understand it.
I mean, why would you assume a universal translator is built into all telepathic abilities?
I guess I'm taking like a movie approach to it.
Well, yeah, like the Greys and the other people that seem to be able to do it clearly have done the homework, know how to speak Earth talk.
Right.
Yeah.
In all its various forms, and then
or
just
maybe that's
translate.
just not a part of their gambit here. They're just like
here's the other
care
thing
to tell you
too.
What we're saying,
if they're just trying to make them feel more violated, more afraid, and you hear these animalistic hisses and maybe these industrial sounds or whatever. To me, it's like Rammstein or Godflesh or something. I don't know what these other noises are. To me, they're probably, if they're complex, I don't know. I don't even know what that means. That's too That's too vague. You don't even know what.
I don't know half the things.
But
mean.
what they're saying
Yeah.
by being complex, what to me is implying, and again, I'm filling in gaps where I probably shouldn't, is that they're understanding there's meaning behind it, but they don't understand the meaning. So even though the sounds themselves are not intrinsically complex, the intention behind them, which they are somehow sensing through the telepathy, is making it feel like it's richer, more nuanced, and therefore more complex than it actually is in the literal sounds.
Fair, yeah.
Or not.
Or not.
That's the other thing
Yeah.
that I had to throw in there.
Okay.
In deference.
Yeah, no, I could see both sides of that for sure.
Sure.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Right on.
Just fucking translate it, man. Stop with your fucking weird shit.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that, well, who
Enough.
knows? They might not be advanced at all. They might just be, I mean, the UFOs might not have anything to do with these fucking things. These things might be like, elementals in the wood messing with your head. They don't like people because all we do is tear down forests and pollute shit.
Yeah.
And so maybe the aliens are trying to protect us, or maybe the elementals are defending their forest from the aliens, but they're still saying fuck the people there. I mean, it could be a huge
that's
shit show.
That's
Well,
deep.
it's a mess. It's like they don't ever like see them enter or exit anything.
No, at no
it's just,
point.
here, there's a ship. All of a sudden, these things are here.
Yes.
They're gone. Those things are gone.
And it
the
isn't-
ships are here. Then they're here again. Like so. Like what are we doing here? What is this?
I'm
Right.
going to assume they're connected.
It makes sense. That to me isn't just the human mind looking for a pattern. That seems like too big not to conflate.
Yeah, totally.
But we don't know.
It's true.
We just don't know. So, all right. That is just weird, and we'll just have to leave it there. Despite the creature's various attempts to cajole or trick them into leaving the tent, Maria and Diego managed to stay inside, quote, doing their best to keep their minds clear and calm, if only to counter the thoughts being placed in their minds by these creatures. What thoughts these are? I don't know. I guess the thought to leave. So yes, because they were both being tempted to leave. And by remaining calm, I guess meditation is supposed to be universally good, and it helps you avoid, doing what these fuckers want.
Sure.
So it's there it is. Then, something seemed to change. Quote, the entities remained outside near the river, but were now less active in the harassment of the couple. They didn't know what time it was, the couple, but the sun started to come up. The craft and the entities still remained outside their tent, but now they appeared to have lost interest in them. Soon the sun was shining outside. They guessed it was around 9 a.m. They could no longer see the entities outside their tent. However, the craft was still there. I assume it's the big one hovering above, which they described as bright, transparent white in color and elongated. They could hear the sound of the craft and the sound of the river. Diego had finally had enough. Fed up with the tormenting monsters, he grabbed his knife and leapt outside, but before he had a chance to confront these potentially interdimensional, maybe fae, maybe elemental, who the fuck knows what they are, assailants, the saucer simply vanished before his eyes, and with its disappearance came the abrupt return of all the natural insect and animal sounds of the forest, which had been absent during their night-long siege. Basically, since there was that buzzing sound that made them think, oh my God, these creatures are not of our time. And then remember, like, there was that popping vacuum of silence.
Mm-hmm.
And besides being able to talk to each other and apparently hear what was going on with the aliens and the craft, all the other sounds of the forest were absent for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
Which is, atypical of aliens, of cryptid encounters, of all sorts of crazy shit. I don't know ghosts, but I don't know much about ghost stuff. But a lot of, when animals sense there's something wrong, but in this case, they might literally have been transposed to like a moment within a moment, like the Langoliers, where it's like, weird interdimensional spaces of time locked, or not locked, but trapped between actual spaces of time. Who the fuck knows what it was? Or maybe they just scared the bugs.
Yeah.
And then they're gone. The bugs are like, fuck, thank God.
Not these assholes again.
Thank God. Hate this shit.
We need bug-sized tents immediately, quick.
So fucking sounds are back.
Sweet.
It was almost as if a switch had been flipped. The visitors, whoever they were and wherever they were from, were now gone, and everything was, for the time being, back to normal. But nothing would ever truly be normal again for Diego and Maria. The world they knew had forever changed, and even if nothing else in this surreal episode was actually real, as it like it could have been happening in their heads, their trauma most certainly was. Quote, Diego was convinced they would find, and this is where it gets even worse, because right now they're still living in a world where it's the aftermath of an alien invasion.
Yeah, there's just like parts everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Diego was convinced that he would find numerous dead bodies near the river where the screams had originated from, but he found nothing. He ran towards the summit to look around and saw several families peacefully camping at the location. They were going about their business as if nothing had happened, end quote. One can't help but wonder, had their memories been erased, or had the whole harrowing episode been nothing more than a performance piece for the Martinezes? These and many other questions would likely haunt their days, and especially their nights, for years to come. Immediately, Maria and Diego packed their gear and walked over to a nearby ecological station and remained there for the rest of the camping trip. Shockingly, this I say without reservation, they lingered on site long enough to actually see the eclipse 9 days later.
I don't even know if you'd care by then. Jesus.
At that point, though, but at that point, is it like anywhere safe? I mean, I would definitely leave the woods where this happened.
Yeah, this area.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't love camping, and I'm always like a little cautious about the shit that could happen in the woods, whether it be human predators, the most dangerous kind, or cryptids or whatever, but just being isolated and injured. But even if I loved it, even if it was a place I loved, if this shit happened at the place I loved,
fucking out.
I don't know if I love that anymore.
Right.
If it happened at the drive-ins in the middle of an all-night Euro horror festival, it would be like, well, fuck, you just ruined one of my great joys.
Yeah.
New drive-in.
Yeah, new drive-in,
There you go.
new horrors.
It's fine.
Yes. So, but I don't know how they stay there for a fucking week.
No, it's crazy.
I will try to explicate it, though. Maybe by then, they'd rationalized the incident, chalking it up to anything from bad food to an unexpected two-person mass hysteria episode. More likely than not, Maria and Diego were just doing what the rest of us might in their shoes. The very best they could to get on with a normal semblance of life and not succumb to a vicious series of panic attacks brought on by what has to be one of the most psyche-shattering, existential, crises-inducing incidents in the long, fear-filled, and already anxiety-riddled history of paranormal lore. And that is why I say fuck the woods for a third time.
Fuck the Woods Volume 3.
You can't trust it.
Camping in Alien Hell, which is a part of the vacation package you don't want to
You
get.
do not want.
No.
Because there was no happy ending on that one.
It does sound like, though, that like whatever happened with the screams in the distance or whatever, maybe it was just whatever these entities were that were harassing them, like just fucking with them. Like completely fucking with them. Like just continuing their weird torture campaign.
Was the silence that surrounded them, was that like maybe induced, like a barrier, like the way, say, the space penguins of Tuscumbia, they had a barrier around them.
Yeah.
Like a lot of aliens seem to have shields.
Yeah.
Did they create a barrier and within them, like through their psychic abilities, emulate the screams and cries of human beings?
I mean,
to especially if they're milking the terror from these people and they're feeding, basically.
if there's no evidence of anything outside the tent, especially like piles of bodies,
right,
and just wholesale slaughter of families,
more so, no indication of trauma from the other families, because if they had gone through a similar hell,
everybody
even if they weren't murdered, they would just be walking around in the daze, sobbing,
like all fucked up.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to say that whatever this thing was, it was definitely like Maria and Diego were targeted by these.
They were clearly targeted.
That
the question is, was it isolated, or was it like so many extraterrestrial interludes, a memory erasure moment? Though Occam's razor says it's easier to isolate two people and torment them than to erase 14 to 23 people's memories.
Yeah, whatever they're doing to them, it's like some weird psychological torture of trying to, well, they are like physically attacking like the impenetrable tent of Jesus or whatever, but
yeah, no, they're not physically attacking them, but it looks like they're doing everything they can to put them, like, I don't know. I mean, obviously we've dealt with like people having their soul allegedly stolen and some other terrible things. But I don't know if anyone's been more psychologically tortured in any paranormal case
this is
that
pretty...
we have ever dealt with, or that I've even encountered.
No, this is like a straight up just like attack to like fuck with somebody, and they were getting the feeling that they were feeding off their fear, which is interesting, super interesting.
I mean, outside of certain hauntings, and that also would lean, if you're theologically minded, I could see where you'd be inclined to say maybe this is a demonic infestation, or maybe these are like ghosts. Like, it seems like poltergeists just do noisy shit usually, but it seems like there's like a blend, like in the Venn diagram, between haunting, demon incursion, and poltergeist manifestation, where some people really go through hell, but that's because it's your home and you're not safe. But this is as close as I've ever seen, and especially a ufological interlude, even though obviously anyone who's being abducted is going through their own version of psychological hell, but this is just mean.
Edmonds caught it pretty hard too.
Oh yeah,
but I mean, like, this level,
but
is
that's
just
decades long.
Yeah, this level is just like they're in like apparently a wrong place at the wrong time, and these things just target them, and they're like, yeah, fuck you, here we go, like just almost like trickster shit. But
what's the agenda?
Like, there isn't.
I don't know.
There really isn't one. It's just to torment them. That's all it is. Which, I mean,
I'm gonna also have to assume. I mean, in some, not all the cases, but some of the cases, people will say like, I was just hanging out there, man. We didn't drink anything. We didn't do anything. So we have to assume that they're completely sober when this was happening.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
I mean,
yeah. I mean, yeah, if you both whatever are,
or undrugged,
like psychedelics or whatever.
It's the same dilemma we had with the El Zeta anomaly.
Oh yeah,
because it was a couple.
That's true. Yeah.
And it was batshit crazy with like Spider Monkey and Teardrop Guy and like the firework dwarves that were fucking marching up from the field.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, two people aren't going to have the same hallucination. Two people can, create a hoax. So we can't rule that out completely.
The whole time and space thing, that kind of, I don't know why that makes me think of like, because if you've ever done psychedelics, you do get into a weird like time and space don't necessarily like line up properly all the time. We were just like, oh, things are a little weird.
So not even psychedelic. I eat enough edibles and I'm in a different dimension.
Well, yeah,
sure.
You get
a little floaty.
We can eat enough Lumi labs that we're like, oh no, my knees don't.
Yeah, nothing makes sense. Yeah. Like everything that looks familiar is not familiar. Everything's fucking just weird.
I can't figure out how to use the washer. I'm like, damn it, this is too complicated. There's so many buttons. Why does it sing a song when it's done?
Yes.
Yeah. One night it sang and I got fucking freaked out.
The song of laundry.
It's just like ding 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 ding, and I was like, no. Fuck.
It's speaking. See?
Yeah, exactly. It knew. It
all
knew.
Right.
So that's obviously
sure. If they were
all
high out of their fucking minds, but it's still very specific things like UFOs and little UFOs and dive bombing and five and
weird grays.
Entities that are floating. Not grays.
No, not grays.
Definitely not grays.
Weird
fuck-alls.
Weird
entities.
Humanoids. Yeah. No, you're right. They're not grays.
Yeah. No, most assuredly not grays.
Yeah. Huh.
And not quite like any other aliens. I mean, like small swarthy aliens were the staple for most of the 20th century.
I'd be curious to know like what like local folklore is like out there. Like kind of like
be interesting.
Like the Potosi sheep slayer, how there's that whole like the red dwarves that like live inside the earth and shit like that. Like if maybe there's like some like local context for this. Like if it's some elemental thing, some spiritual thing, and fucking demons. I mean, there's a volcano right there, Hollow Earth. The Darrow.
Sure.
Think about it.
No, I mean, there are a lot of things to unpack. And let's not forget that Chile is a hot spot for UFOs.
Oh, huge.
Like there's that famous one where it seemed to be releasing that plume of cold smoke or something. And I think it was off the coast of Chile. It would have to probably be because all that is a long, thin strip of coast, that whole country, where some people say it was like oil derricks giving off flames and other people say it was a whole line of small fleet of UFOs, flying. So, and they've always been really open about that kind of stuff. Yeah, so in a culture where that's happening already, and maybe, you want to get, sure, in a hoax scenario, maybe you'd want to get popular by saying you saw a UFO, but the rest of it is so overwhelmingly dark and weird. And I would also be curious, like, does anyone else in that neighborhood, that area, there's plenty of other campers see a UFO, even if they didn't deal with the entities.
Right. There's like
or
at least
the
5 of them.
screams.
That'd be
Like,
interesting
at the very least.
to
Right.
know if anybody
And one's
else...
fucking 50 feet long.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely...
Or around, because it's
Yeah.
a saucer.
I know that they were like isolated out there, but being that big, you'd think that somebody in the area would see something like that and be like, "Oh shit, the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
Huh?
Still relatively recent. So, I mean,
Yeah,
right.
these guys could probably be tracked down. They're a young couple. That's all we know. We don't know their real name. We don't really know anything. But, I mean, somebody out there, especially somebody who's active in, South American ufological research, could probably track them down. Because I would like to know about local lore. I would like to know if anyone else saw anything. I would like to, because they obviously approached UFO researchers,
Yeah, they went public with their story,
and they must have done some background.
right to look and see.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, really,
But I couldn't even find the original article, I have to admit. Now, granted, I didn't go super deep. I got the story, put it out there, and it was a little bit of a time crunch. But I would be intrigued to know what other layers there are, and especially all it would take is one other corroborating witness.
Oh shit, I know, right? Just one other person, I
don't
experienced
know,
this weird mind
a couple
fucking.
pics, maybe. I don't know.
No, but they were in the tent the entire time. They weren't doing pictures of anything.
So what, dude?
I don't know.
So what?
It's
2019. You both got phones. She had a headlamp.
Yeah, she did.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true. I mean,
the headlamp broke it.
I never even, it's funny because I'm usually the first to get super pissed when people don't take photos. And it's funny, I didn't even think once about them probably having smartphones being 2019. Maybe they're the kind of couple that is like, no, we are here for nature.
No, I
We're
know.
turning our phone
Mother
off.
Nature. We are leaving our fucking phones at
Right,
home,
we're just gonna take our
which would
soup
make no sense.
in our
Yeah.
cards.
There's
we got,
soup
we
in
got
their cards,
soup
yeah.
and
Nobody doesn't
and
take a photo.
cards and a
Yeah.
lantern, and that's all we need. And that's all the meals and fun we need. And Mark can't ruin it for any of us.
Yeah, I
That ain't
can't. Yeah, no, I'll be on my smartphone comfortable without soup, not playing cards.
Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
there it is.
Yeah, I wish they had taken some photos, but maybe also, I mean, now I'm making excuses for them, but if these things were literally in their head and hissing
wouldn't
and
even-
groaning
yeah.
and making, German industrial metal circa 1993,
I like that you said Godflesh.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Christ bait rising.
Listening to ministry.
Yeah.
Fucking then maybe they were just in the same way they were trying to tempt them to go out. They were preventing them from using the phones to either call help.
I must check
Because
Twitter.
why wouldn't you call for help? Why wouldn't you take some photographs? Unless there was no bars in, Cajone del Maipo. I think I said it.
I have to
right.
update my Facebook status immediately, but the aliens won't let me. My God.
I mean, I don't know what's cell phone reception like in rural Chile. It
Yeah,
might not be
That's-
great.
That's a
No,
good question.
It would still take photos.
It would still
but-
take photos.
Let's look at photos, though.
But who knows? Lots of
Yeah.
satellites. Who knows?
Yeah, man.
I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, it's just
Shit.
fucking
It's
bonkers.
this is a weird,
This is a
scary
case.
Scary case for sure.
Yeah, no, it definitely
scary.
left me with the icks a little bit. Like, we like to have fun with stories, but this is just sort of like, because
Yeah.
these things seem like literally like if the
They're
goal
mean.
is they're mean,
They're
they're,
super mean.
the mean girls of fucking the paranormal lore. If fucking you really are just feeding on fear. Everything they did was designed for that. Like, I'm not trying to hurt you physically. You can't communicate with anyone. You're going to sit here. You're going to hold your wife, and you're going to think you're going to die for 7 hours straight while you think all of humanity is dying around you, and you're going to
It's
just
a weird mind fuck.
and
It's
and,
really
and, and
weird.
we are going to keep battering our full weird bodies with our long ass arms against the side of your tent.
Yeah.
And we're not going to break in.
How strong is that tent?
I mean, it's probably just part of the mind fuck.
Yeah,
They could have probably tore it apart.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to tear apart a tent.
No, not at all. I've seen Bear in person tear tents apart.
Well, obviously,
and shred into a fucking 12 or a White Claw. And just
That
blew
makes
up
sense.
all over the bear, which is
Really?
fucking hilarious.
that's kind of. I
Just
wish
fucking
I'd seen that.
soaked the bear in shitty seltzer.
Oh, see, you should have been filming that. Why weren't you filming that,
I think I
sir?
did. Yeah, I did. I did. I got a picture of it. I don't know if I
Okay.
filmed it, but I got a picture of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, there it is.
I didn't.
I
Well,
guess we all miss
I recently
great moments.
I recently
in
did
history.
have an encounter with a possible UAP, which will be featured on our Patreon.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, possible.
I bought it.
I'm remaining skeptical.
Yeah.
I'm remaining skeptical.
Yeah.
Because I can't be the guy that sees a UFO.
Why not?
It'd be bad for the brand. That's why. It'd be bad for the brand. Business first,
Maybe.
Bobby. Patreon. We got some shout outs to do for the good folks
shit.
God
over
bless.
there. Patreon.com/Patronus.
And Housey. Beginning with Artsy.
Hell yeah, Archie. Thank you so much.
Jimmy Hubby.
Jimmy Hobby.
Jimmy Hubby, what is happening?
Logan Seekins.
Thank you, Logan.
Donald York.
What up, Donald? We appreciate it.
Stacy Schmidt.
Hell yeah, Stacy. Thank you so much.
Captain Awesomematic.
Fuck yeah, Captain Awesomematic. We cannot thank you enough for your continued support.
Hell yes. Damon.
Damon, thank you so much.
Ryan Sullivan.
Hell yeah, Ryan. We appreciate it.
Joseph Anderson.
Thank you, Joseph.
Last, most assuredly not least, Al.
Thank you, Al. And again,
Al.
that is patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. The $1, the $5, the $10. So much content happening over there. And remember, to any of you new people signing up, starting in November, do not use the Apple app in the iOS. This is only for iOS. This does not affect Android. This is Apple specifically. Do not sign up in the app or you will be charged a 30% increase from the Apple Store. This is not us. This is not Patreon. This is Apple. So it's very simple. On your Apple device, open Safari, your whatever web browser you want, type in patreon.com. You do it in the web browser. I dare say the mobile version of Patreon is probably better than the app. Not to down talk that their app is garbage. It's not that great. But the web version is totally fine. You can do all your shit there and you're not going to get charged with anything. So
Fantastic.
do everything right there.
Yeah.
The Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks and the TikToks and the socials and the medias, we're out there. We're making it happen. We're posting pictures. We're leaving comments. We're doing all kinds of fun shit. So check all that out. We got the Heller Space merch. The Heller Space 2024 shirt is going to be coming down soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, the political season's coming.
Oh,
to an
yeah,
end
it's
here.
right around the corner. We literally have
So a couple days after the election, we'll just take it down and,
Sure.
you know.
Just like we did the last one.
Yeah,
Retire
so
it.
that's there. And of course, the Crypto 90s shirt.
Yeah.
Setting the goddamn world on fire.
People seem to like it.
I walked into work today, my fucking mom was wearing it.
Ha!
And I was like, well, fuck. And then
Carol.
a couple of my coworkers were like, the fuck is that? What? I'm like, yeah, where'd I get one of those? I'm like, hellerspace.com.
Hellerspace.com.
Make sure you get it on sale for $16. Yeah. So,
Dude, your whole work crew will be wearing
dude, I know.
wearing us.
Everyone's fucking all about it. So check that out there again. That is hellerspace.com.
funny.
That's it for all the announcements. But I do want to make a very special announcement. I made an appearance on a pretty fucking cool podcast, and I'm pretty stoked about this. Todd DeZago's podcast, Random Acts of Comics. I was a guest. It actually came out today, which is October 28th.
So dope.
And it was super fun talking to Todd. We did a little bit of cryptids. We mostly talked about, like, we just got to geek out on like comic book shit, which was super dope. So again, that is Random Acts of Comics with Todd DeZago. Check that out. Super dope. It's available wherever you can get your podcasts. And I got an illustration done of me by Craig Russo, his partner there, which is fucking right there.
Oh my God.
It'll be on the social medias, but dude, when
I saw
fucking-
that on the post.
Dude, when I fucking saw that,
That's
I'm
awesome.
like, the dude that does Young Hellboy fucking drew me. He's son of a bitch. It's so awesome, dude. And it was awesome talking with Todd. It's fun. He was like, oh, you know, I'm kind of fanboying out because I listen to you guys. I'm like, yeah, but like I am fanboying out because you're like a comic dude from the 90s and like I grew up on the shit that like you wrote. So like we were both equally fanboying out. And it
That's
was
great
an
being
awesome
nice.
conversation.
That's awesome.
And he's such a good dude. And
So
I'm
talented too.
I'm hoping to talk to him again in the future. I had such a great time hanging out with
Yeah,
him. So.
I'd love to tag along next
And
time.
hopefully I'm going to see him like some like cons locally or something, sit down, talk with him. So that'd be pretty
Heck
fun.
yes.
Shit. All right.
Yep. So again, that is Random Acts of Comics with Todd DeZago. Check out my episode there. That's it. That's all we got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man. We're coming into November. So yeah, this comes out in November.
Yes,
Shit,
it does.
It does.
It
Yeah.
does. One more week of the Halloween theme. I'm doing it because right now it's not Halloween yet.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
not
then,
for us.
What's the next theme? Are you gonna do turkeys?
I have something in mind.
Do
It's
you
gonna
really?
be. I'm just gonna replace because the fall theme's still there.
Right.
So I'm gonna
Right.
I'm gonna do that until.
So can I ask for something? Because I'm not into turkey. Could you do me a lasagna?
Oh my fucking
I'm not
God.
putting a
Could you-
lasagna.
do
on
me a
there,
little
dude.
lasagna.
I just cannot with
Do
you.
a turkey for you guys and do a little lasagna do a little manicotti.
Your
a little
fucking
piece of
your
manicotti.
food weirdness is almost too much.
Why would I put food on there?
I love turkey for things. Oh, we're gonna do. Is it gonna be blunderbusses?
It's not a blunderbuss.
Two blunderbusses crossed.
Wow.
Randomly shooting shit out of the blunderbuss.
There
like
is
a cornucopia
two
blunderbuss?
horror
Yeah.
Thanksgiving things that I'm looking to get. I'm trying to find
Two
still.
horror Thanksgiving things.
Yeah.
Like from the horror movie Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Well, at least one.
Okay.
Yeah.
The cool mask?
Ish. It's going to be at least a bust, probably.
Okay. Oh, I like this. Have you seen Thanksgiving?
I have not.
Did you watch Hoobie Halloween?
No, not
I
yet.
thought you did.
Not yet.
You commented on my post. I'm like,
Sure.
oh, you wrote it.
Yeah, because I love you.
You commented on my post.
I just haven't seen
you,
it yet.
You wrote Hoobie. I was like, oh shit, he watched it.
No.
Man, okay. All right.
Not yet. I mean,
Okay.
I probably will for you.
You know what? It's not too late, Robert. You can get into the spirit of Halloween with Hoobie Halloween.
I mean, I think I have the spirit of Halloween pretty successfully, with or without fucking Hoobie.
Yeah.
And it's Yubi for the record, but it's okay.
Hubie. I don't care. I say Hubie. It's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm doing pretty solid with the Halloween.
All right,
Thanks,
fine.
though.
Fine. It's
buddy.
Okay. It's okay. All right. Well, maybe
I'm going to eat my Halloween soup. I'm going to fucking have a good old time.
you would eat Halloween
I would.
soup. Yeah.
What's Halloween soup?
Some
I
weird
don't know.
pumpkin pork.
No, I want
Yeah.
to know what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Some
eat the
weird-
shit. They're like a squash type
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like squash either, do you?
I do. I gosh.
So what's wrong with Halloween soup then?
I mean, I didn't even think it was the thing. I figured it was pumpkin.
I just made it up. I mean, I'm sure there's.
I mean, I figured there
squashy
wasn't.
soup.
No, someone somewhere is like, I got Halloween soup, and they're all fucking excited about it.
Sure.
They shouldn't be.
No, I am
Yeah, they
excited
shouldn't
about it.
be.
You're so judgy.
They should just be upset.
What?
with
You're so
themselves.
goddamn judgy.
Salty
'Cause
pumpkin soup.
Of all the things you could do on Halloween, really, you make soup.
I was just making a joke. It
Not-
was
not
it was,
you.
It was called bringing it back around.
Bring it out to the
Oh,
side.
the fictional person
Yeah, exactly.
that lives for Halloween soup that probably isn't even fucking real.
Don't talk down to me, sir.
Well, why are you
about this
condescending to
fictional
a
person.
fucking a fictional stranger?
Is it condescending if they're not alive? If they're not even real?
Okay.
Or
I mean, yeah.
You're
hear
right.
me out. Do we just manifest them into reality?
Did you just tulpa Halloween
We just
Halloween
tulpa.
soup guy
I think
into
we
fucking
did.
reality?
think
I
we
mean,
did.
I'm going to look it
What a
up.
waste.
All right.
What
no.
a waste of a tulpa.
No, dude, they could be a listener. Sign up for Patreon. Go for the $10 tier. Fuck it. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's great.
And then they can battle me over soup like people battle me over the moon.
I just know.
It's fine.
We've given up on that.
It's a good little back and forth.
Yeah, no. I mean, I remember just a week ago you tried the dupe. You tried the trapdoor spider. We were like, oh, I'm done fighting. I don't care. No,
Yeah.
none of this matters.
Ask yourself this. Did it work?
No.
You'll never know.
I do know. It did not work.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't buy it for, well, for
Yeah.
a second I bought it.
Trying to Darvo. It's not working.
Yeah, you can't talk about me.
Because yeah, you came back this week hardcore, dude. I
he
hate
did.
soup. I hate games. I hate cards. I hate fucking pumpkins. I hate fucking everything.
All right. Cards and soup. Yes. I'll enjoy squash. I enjoy pumpkins. I'm not big into pumpkin spice stuff, but that's fine. I like a good pumpkin donut.
Sure.
I love a pumpkin roll.
Oh,
I'll
I
eat
love
a whole
pumpkin
fucking
roll.
pumpkin roll to myself. I even went
Fuck
out on
yeah.
a limb and I had banana ice cream at a haunted hayride at Bailiwick,
Wow.
and I had to shit my pants immediately.
Oh,
Banana
lactose
ice cream.
intolerant.
Yeah, no, not really bad. Just ice cream for some
Why?
reason.
Why would
Fucked me
you
up.
eat ice cream outside?
I was
if-
feeling loose.
Okay.
I was feeling wild.
I'm-
I was out there. I was feeling myself.
Taking
I was,
chances.
I was vibing. I was
There
like,
it is.
yeah. I mean, I just got scared on this shit. I'm about to eat some banana fucking pudding ice cream, and then I was like, get me home quick. I got to shit. Yeah,
Why
exactly.
don't you just shit there?
Nah, I don't want to.
You're not a public shitter, are you?
No, not at all.
I shit everywhere I can. Every fucking way
You're
I
like a
can.
terrorist.
Yeah.
You just shit
He
everywhere
marks.
you
He
can.
marks his
There's
territory.
a point in time where sometimes you have issues, and then you have to get used to like you.
No,
gotta shit where
you
gotta
guys,
shit.
you and Rob both have stomach issues. I can. My coworker, my beloved Kevin, has stomach issues. I totally understand.
You just gotta poop.
Yeah, no, I can hold it. I have a very strong constitution. Very strong. Yes.
Shouldn't hold your poop.
Is that why my hand went numb? Is because I was holding my poop?
That's bad for you, man.
I know.
It's toxic.
Telling dude, it's
I'm gonna keep it in.
yeah, you know, I
Like
mean,
my feelings.
I eventually.
Feelings.
Oh, there is a BetterHelp ad for this episode. So there you go, BetterHelp.com.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
/Ellerspace.
Yeah, right.
Use the
Yeah, work on
Right.
your issues.
Use the fucking promo code. We'll be talking to you. Peace.
All right, bye.